Houston, we have a problem. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. The Democrats have a problem with male black voters. According to an article in USA Today, this is part two of the video that I just recorded, and I'm going to pick it up where I left off on because this is vitally important. So according to the headlines of the article from the USA Today, Democrats have a problem with black male voters. Vice President Kamala Harris is quietly trying to fix it. And that is true. There is a serious problem with the Democrats and black people in general because we're tired of being taken for granted, and we're not going to be used as pawns just to see people get elected over and over and over again. That day and that time is over. Either deliver or we take our votes elsewhere. It is just that plain, and it is just that simple. We're not going to holler and scream and tear people's property and all that kind of foolishness. We're just not going to vote. Not for them anyway. It's time for a major change. So let me just pick up the article from here. Young black men and teens are killed by guns 20 times more than their white counterparts, CDC data shows. Attendees said that the conversation focused on economic empowerment and opportunity for communities of color and touched on black entrepreneurship, the racial wealth gap, disproportionately high interest rates for black borrowers, barriers to home ownership, inflated rental prices, mental health programs, criminal justice reform, and equitable access to good-paying jobs. The vice president, she was very attentive in the conversation, said Macmillan, a former national youth director for and senior policy advisor to Sharpton's group. It was an authentic conversation. She kept it real. Macmillan said, he told the group about the need to ensure that financial institutions such as credit unions have the resources to invest in low-income communities. He said a conversation also took place about how the White House can engage young people on these issues through social media. Some of Biden and Harris's promise to empower black men have had more success than others. Minimum wage increase legislation that would close the racial wealth gap, for instance, is stalled in Congress. Legislation reinstating and expanding the first-time home buyer credit is under discussion, but has not been passed into law. Biden's student debt forgiveness actions have been blocked by the courts. A law Congress passed that summer that addresses gun violence did include additional money for mental health and addiction treatment, and in infrastructure legislation provided some of the funds Biden promised to direct to minority-owned businesses. Joshua Harris, vice president of the Baltimore NAACP, said he hopes the meeting with the vice president will lead to the administration pursuing tangible economic policies that will improve black men's lives. One example the NAACP's Harris gave is how implementation of the Inflation Reduction Act affects black men throughout the U.S. Where are the tangible jobs for someone who may have only a high school diploma? Harris said, how do we get them into those blue-collar working jobs? What does it look like? Polling of black men after 2022 midterm election shows they still overwhelmingly approve of the Biden administration, but more work can be done. A December poll from HIT Strategies, a public research company, found that 81% of black men approve of the job Biden is doing, but only 59% of black men said they were, satisfied with the direction in which the country is headed, with 41% saying they were dissatisfied. A June poll HIT Strategies conducted on behalf of the NAACP found that a majority of black men trusted Democrats on issues such as voting rights, health care, and racial equality. But when it came to the economic and inflation, only 48% and 42% of black men trusted Democrats to do a better job than Republicans. Although black men are the second most loyal voting bloc for Democrats, political experts have cautioned that they are swing voters and cannot be taken for granted. There are swing voters and cannot be taken for granted. Ask me how I know. One of the criticisms people have of general outreach to black voters is that it doesn't start until months before the election, said Jermaine House, Senior Director of Communications at HIT Strategies. W. Mondale Robinson, founder of the Black Male Voter Project and mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, was not invited to the meeting Harris held with civil rights organizers, but he said that if he were, he wouldn't have attended. Robinson stressed that black men are not apolitical, as some experts have described them, but are exhausted with the transactional nature of election cycles. People come to our communities 2-3 months before an election talking about proverbial fried chicken and church fans without with nothing else to offer us, nothing to address the issues that's only plaguing our lives, he said. Like other organizers, Robinson stressed that black men need to see the Biden administration pass legislative policies that positively benefit their lives. If the Biden administration wanted to engage black men in a way that's effective, they would have started 2 years ago when they had the opportunity. When they controlled all 3 houses in Washington, D.C., Robinson said, they had an opportunity to do something about qualified immunity, one of the leading issues for black men. Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that shields government officials from civil liability for constitutional violations. Lawmakers dropped qualified immunity from police reform negotiations in 2021. Congress ultimately walked away from talks on police reform, a setback for the Biden administration. Although participants said the issue did come up, Harris of the Baltimore NAACP said he would have liked the meeting to have included more conversation on solutions to addressing the harmful impact the criminal justice system has had on black men. When I say the criminal justice system, I'm not talking about just those who are in jail, Harris said, but the residual impact of the criminal justice system on those who are looking for jobs, on those who need housing. Still, advocates said they view the meeting as a positive sign from the Biden administration. To hear what the highest levels of government, the White House, are paying attention to black men in a more intentional way and understanding and doing this a year before 2 years before the 2024 election. I think that's a really good thing for the White House to be doing, said House. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender. Never quit.